Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. Today we are going to discuss about Prime Minister Modi's Europe trip. What are the significances of this trip of three countries, and what are the underlying challenges, and what are the avenues in which India can try to strengthen its bilateral relationship with the three European countries. So first of all, you try to understand that which countries the Prime Minister is visiting. So as per the schedule released by the Prime Minister's office, between 2nd of May to 4th of May, the Prime Minister is traveling to three countries of Germany, Denmark as well as France. This is his first foreign trip this year, and this also becomes more significant because this trip comes at a time when Europe is facing a severe war between Russia and Ukraine, and it has upended 7 decades of global order after the World War II. Europe has not faced such kind of crisis since a long period of time. So all this makes this trip much more important both for India as well as European countries. So let us try to understand in this context a brief background about the relationship between all the three countries with India. So first of all, let us try to understand India and Germany relationship. So Germany being economic powerhouse of Europe itself, it becomes much more important both as a defense strategic as well as the economic partner of India. And also if you look at the background, India was among the first countries to establish diplomatic ties with the Federal Republic of Germany after Second World War. Then since May 2000 itself, India and Germany have been a strategic partner. What is a strategic partner? So strategic partnership refers to an elevated level of bilateral cooperation in the major areas like security, defense and energy, and this gives a much more depth in the bilateral relations of two countries when they decide to become a strategic partner. Apart from that, as a result of this strategic partnership, both countries have entered into intergovernmental consultations that is held at the highest level both in political as well as economic sense. Also, if you look at the current Chancellor who has replaced the outgoing Chancellor Angela Merkel, the Olaf Scholz, he was the first foreign leader with whom Prime Minister Modi had a phone conversation in 2022. Apart from that, when he was a minister in the earlier government, Olaf Scholz also had visited New Delhi few years back, and that is why it is believed that he has good understanding and good understanding of the depth of India-German relationship. Now, what makes this visit much more significant? So first of all, I will discuss that Europe is overall going or undergoing through a crisis brought by the Russia-Ukraine war, and it is in this context German policies have also shifted significantly. The first policy shift has been observed since Germany was highly dependent on Russia's coal, oil as well as gas, and they have decided to cut off the supplies of coal, gas and oil and become totally independent of the Russian supply by the end of 2022. Apart from that, Germany also have decided that they will increase their defense budget by 2%, which is a very significant shift after World War II. So in this context, India will also have to take certain decisions, and India will also have to look for the scope for further cooperation, because India, like Germany, is also dependent to some extent on Russian energy, but largely on the Russian defense supplies. This visit also becomes more important because Germany is going to hold the G7 summit in this year, and though India is not a G7 partner, it has been invited earlier informally as an observer. So it is very interesting to see that whether India gets the invitation this year for the month of June or not, as India's stand has been very different, or we can say not as critical as of Western partners on the Russia. Now, looking at the areas of cooperation, there are several areas in which India and Germany have the same values. These are upholding of democratic values, because both countries are a functioning democracy. Second, they both want to have a rule-based international order, and they also have interest in reform of multilateral institutions, especially United Nations. And that is why both countries, India and Germany, along with Japan and Brazil, are also a member of a grouping that is referred as G4. G4 basically is a group of countries that wants to become a permanent member of United Nations Security Council. So this is also one area of cooperation where India and Germany holds hand with hand. Now, what about India and Denmark? So India and Denmark have signed a Green Strategic Partnership in year 2020. What is Green Strategic Partnership? This partnership is a strategic partnership which basically focuses on green growth and climate change. That means the countries are not just focusing on increasing or achieving faster and rapid economic growth, but they are also focusing on growth that is coming from, that is kind of green in nature. Green in nature means the utilization of resources is happening in a sustainable manner, and also the dependency on the fossil fuel is lesser, and more inclination is toward the green fuel such as solar, wind, as well as ocean energy. Apart from that, India and Denmark also holds India Nordic Summit. It is a member of, since Denmark is a member of Nordic countries, which also include countries like Sweden, Finland, Norway, and Iceland. And interestingly, India is the only partner out of with which Nordic countries have India Nordic Summit, apart from United States of America. That also make India a very important partner. India is a very important partner for the Nordic countries. Also, this visit is coming at a time when there is a sense of regional insecurities for these regional Nordic countries, and two of the countries, for example, Sweden and Finland, wants to join NATO to thwart the Russian adventurism in the near future. So, how this all plays out and what kind of discussion Prime Minister Modi holds with the Denmark is also very interesting to see. Now, what can be the possible area of cooperation? So, as discussed before, the Denmark or all the Nordic countries have an upper hand in the areas like innovation, clean energy, as well as green technologies, education and healthcare, due to their various different types of development, that is socialism based development, and also they have they give very high values to the human rights and rule of law. So these are the areas of cooperation, and as India have recently launched 3 important missions: Make India, which is focusing on the indigenous development of technologies; the Smart City mission, that to make the cities much more sustainable and green in nature, as well as have higher values of sustainability; as well as Startup India, to focus upon the startups growth of startup. Now, due to the complementary nature of what Denmark has to offer and what India wants to achieve, there is a very high possibility of increase in cooperation in these particular areas. Now, coming to the third country to which Prime Minister Modi is going to visit is France. So, India and France have been a very strong partner for a very long period of time, and they signed. France actually was one of the first country with which India has signed a strategic partnership in the year 1998. And the most important, France has supported India in such a time when US was completely against India after its nuclear explosion in the Pokhran. So after 1998 Pokhran test, France has supported India. That also makes France a very reliable and strategic partner. Third, France also continuously supported India in its membership bid for the nuclear supplier group. Not only that, India also is member of 4 different export control regime. Namely, it is Australian group, then we have Wassenaar arrangement, then we have MTCR, that is Missile Technology Control Regime. So all these membership have been given to India largely because France has vocally supported for India. Apart from that, France has said that whenever India puts its bid or whenever a matter comes to United Nations, it will support India's permanent membership for the United Nations Security Council. Apart from this, France has also increased its defense supply to India with the signing of Rafale deal. So that is also going to be one of the point of discussion between Prime Minister Modi and the Emmanuel Macron. Again, to remind you, Emmanuel Macron has just been elected second time as a French president few days back. The other point where both countries have agreed or are expected to discuss is regarding the China issue, because China is increasing its assertiveness, especially in the Indo-Pacific region, and this is kind of a threat that is felt by all the countries, especially Western countries and India, which can be disastrous if you want to maintain free and open Indo-Pacific. And recently, China also have signed a military pact, security pact with Solomon Island, that also shows that China is much more eager to increase its presence, especially the naval presence in the Indo-Pacific region. Also, this visit becomes significant because France is going to hold presidency of European Union this year, and whatever decisions European Union takes as collectively, France is going to play a very strong and very important role. And that is why if India wants to increase the level, or we can say the depth of its relationship with the European Union, the increase in the relationship, or we can say So it is in this context, if India wants to increase overall the depth of its relationship with the European Union, France is going to play a very important role, and that is why we can say the overall landscape of how India-France relationship, bilateral relationship evolve, it will also to a large extent determine the India-European relationship in a general sense. So with visit of these three countries, what can we say about the India-Europe relationship in general? So to go in background, in 1962, India was one of the first countries to establish diplomatic relationships with European Economic Community. European Economic Community, also in short called as EEC, was a precursor of the present European Union. Apart from that, India also have a lot of interest in the stake in the common issues such as political and security issues, climate change and clean energy, information communication technology, space, nuclear, health, agriculture, food security, as well as education and culture with the European Union. So what we can in conclusion say that the Prime Minister visit to Europe is likely to set the stage for India-European Union summit, and also it can give a boost to the free trade agreement negotiations, FTA negotiations, that has been stuck for almost a decade between India and European Union. So with the visit of these three countries, it is expected that there will be some fillip that will be provided to the FTA negotiations. That is all for today. Thank you very much.